Hey, fam. I am Marshawn Elanio, your favorite shift relationship strategist. Thank you so much for coming back to hang out with your girl for these next few minutes. Today, we are talking about the 10 lessons that I personally learned by forgiving those who have hurt me in my past. When you start to forgive people, your life becomes different. The anxiety that you start to have, the worry that's in your life, the just all of these things that keep coming up that are not helping you. The silent depression. Why am I calling it silent? Because in the Black community, we have a tendency to run away from the D word, the depression word. A lot of people still in the Black community do not want to go see a therapist. Or they don't want to take medication because a lot of us are still not taking our mental health seriously. I've experienced some things, you have experienced some things, we all have experienced some things. So if I come and share my story with you, that either you can see yourself in my story, or you can say, I haven't dealt with that and I don't want to start today. So I'm going to take heed to what she's actually saying so I don't have to experience those things myself. This is how we continuously pass along the right things to actually do in order to create these beautiful lives that we want to be a part of. So I had some pain. You had some pain. In order to move to the next level in your life, you are going to have to forgive those who have hurt you as well, because otherwise you are constantly carrying baggage with you everywhere you go. And you cannot and will not experience an extraordinary relationship when you have yet to forgive those who have harmed you in the past. All right. So now let's jump into the 10 things that I've actually learned by forgiving those people who have hurt me. The first thing that I learned is that forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for me. Forgiveness is so I can personally move forward, dissipate. I had to forgive all of those people that hurt me because I was continuously allowing them to run my life without them even being a part of my life any longer. I had to forgive those who hurt me because it's not for them, as I mentioned. It is for me. It is for you. It is for you to be able to allow all of that stuff to be released from your body. Like, I was reading a book and it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And something that it talks about in that particular book is how literally your body holds on to trauma, past things, things that come up and hurt. And even if you can't pinpoint what that thing is, this ache and pain, it might never come to you until you're around said person that brings you in the anxiety. Right? So your body is keeping the score of all of the pains, the aches, the hurts from those particular people. And so when you go around those people, if you have to, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, all of a sudden you might get this tightness in your chest, but it's the thing that you would get whenever you were around that particular person. So in this instance, maybe I would go around an uncle that I know didn't mean me no good. Maybe he just talked bad to me, right? Or maybe there was some sexual assault in the family and I would have to see this particular uncle, right? And so whenever I go around him, because he has hurt me in the past, my body has kept the score, even if I can't even remember or pinpoint what that thing is. Your body has kept the score on the pain. So you're not forgiving the person because they deserve your forgiveness. That's not why you're doing it. You are forgiving them because it is helping you to take a deep breath and release all of those pent up emotions. Which brings me to point number 2. Forgiving the other person does not mean that I said yes or condone their behavior and their bad actions towards me. That's not what forgiveness is saying. However, what it is saying is, you did me wrong. I know that you did me wrong. I forgive you for doing me wrong because I know, and you don't have to verbalize this, but I know that in order for me to move forward in my life, I must forgive you. I must forgive you. Listen, you know I'm a Christian. If Christ can forgive all of those people that forsaked him and sinned against him and stoned him and lashed him and put the thorns on his head and pierced his side. And if Christ can forgive, who am I not to forgive? He paid the ultimate price for my sins, past, present, and future. So who am I not to forgive somebody? I'm not greater than God. I'm not a God, right? So if God can forgive all of those who forsake him and threw him under the bus and pierced his side and talked all types of trash about him in his face and, challenged him while he was on the cross, and if you are the son of God, then come on down, or what? Who am I not to forgive those who have hurt me? I am not saying that I agree with or condone the behavior. Nope. I'm saying I have taken on and understand that in order for me to move forward, in order for me to truly give you my blessing so you can be okay, whether you need it or not, whether you deserve it or not, I am giving it to you wholeheartedly. I'm not holding anything back. I'm not holding you hostage. I'm not even asking for you to verbally apologize. I'm going to give it to you whether you deserve it or not. You have gotten my blessing. You have gotten my forgiveness. You've gotten it, whether you deserve it or not. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, forgiving other people helps me to heal and even accept what happened. I didn't say it was going to be an easy acceptance. I said it gave me a chance to accept exactly what happened to me. And guess what? Everything that has happened to me, everything that has happened to you has been a set up for your come up. If you stop running away from the things that happened to you, if you stop pressing everything down and holding everything in and believing that you're protecting yourself when in fact you're not, the more that you release this stuff, the more that you get it out into the world, into the universe, into other people, you're helping other people by listening to you, because a lot of times we feel like we are the only ones that's going through that particular thing. Not the only one. But I also believe that the things that we go through are not necessarily for us. It is for us to get on the other side and then to verbalize these things, to tell other people so you can help other people to get on the other side of their journey. Can't walk nobody else's walk, but you have to be willing to own it. This is my stuff. I'm not perfect. Whether you deserve, air quotes, whether you deserve whatever happened to you or not, that's beside the point. It happened. You accept that it happened. You accept that this is part of your path. This is a part of your story. And you can do a lot. You can help a lot of people with your story. So we got to stop hiding the things that have happened to us in order to be able to not only propel you to the next level, but to prepare those that you influence to the next level as well. The third lesson that I learned by forgiving those who have hurt me is that it really did help me to get unstuck. I stopped taking it on as if it was my fault that this thing or things happened to me. Now, if you've been here for any amount of time, you've heard my story on the fact that I've gotten teased about my dark skin many a day. And it helped me to get unstuck by forgiving those people who used to tease me. Because for a period of time, I thought that my skin was pretty ugly. Because everybody, and when I say everybody, a lot of people, would make a big deal about the darkness, the deep pigmentation of my skin. When in fact, I didn't even know I had a different color skin until it was pointed out to me. And this is actually what I tell my clients going into comparison just a bit, because we have a tendency to compare ourselves to others based off of what we deem as flaws or what other people has said has been a flaw to us. And so now we look at others to see, am I dealing with that same thing? Or it could be like, well, I don't have that thing. Not talking about the other stuff that you have that's coming out, that's seeping out of your pores, but you don't have that thing. And so we have a tendency to compare ourselves and look at the things that we either want or envy or even hate about the other person, so we can find other things to nitpick about them. Because when you're nitpicking about somebody else, the spotlight is not on yourself. When in fact, for those of us who are mature enough to see what is actually happening with you, it is your insecurities coming to the surface and bubbling over. So it helped me to get unstuck by forgiving the other people. Now I embrace my beautiful chocolate skin. Now, especially now that I'm getting older, I'm 46, and my hair is a lot grayer than most 46-year-olds. I am well aware of that. But what I will say is that when people look at me, they literally take a double take, because my skin is pretty youthful. And then they have to figure out, is this dye or is this real? Well, if you can't see it, it is real. This is my natural color. I'm basically silver, black and gray together. I'm silver, and it is what it is. I used to dye it, and I just got sick and tired of it. I'm owning all of me. I know I was talking about my skin, but I'm owning all of me. I was dyeing my hair because I didn't want the gray. Now I'm over it. What you see is what you get. It probably, if any dye goes in here anymore, it's going to be to enhance what I already have, not to cover it up. Previous dye was trying to cover it. I'm over covering. This is what you get. So now, like I said, when people see me, it's a double take, because skin looks pretty youthful with this silver mane. So forgiving other people will help you to embrace and accept all of yourself. You'll see more an ownership of who you are in all aspects of your life, especially in the areas where other people told you was a flaw, when in fact, it is not a flaw at all. It's not a flaw at all. Number 5, the fifth lesson that I learned by forgiving those who've hurt me is that my frustration about the experience and about the stories that I was making up, as well as the anxiety over the experience, dissipates. I'm no longer frustrated that I was teased as a child. I'm no longer frustrated that I was chosen most of the time last by the boys who were trying to choose the girls. So it would be a group of girls and a group of guys, and I was usually the last one chosen. And every single solitary time, it was always because of my dark skin. I never once heard I was ugly. It was always the darkness, the deep pigmentation of my skin. My melanin was too much for these folks. I had to get over it. I had to get over it, and I actually did, and I'm good. But the frustration of my past kept coming to the surface, which was leading into insecurities, which was showing up and festering. Just some of the reasons why my previous dating as an adult did not go to the next level, because they recognized the insecurity in myself. So that frustration, that anxiety disappeared. No longer here. I am in full ownership of all of who I am, all of who I be, as I say. Full ownership. Lesson number 6 that I learned by forgiving those who have hurt me is that it helped me to reframe the story that I was telling myself, like from a fresh perspective. Instead of rehashing all of those old things, all of the negative, because that's what it really boils down to. when we're making up these stories in our head, they're usually not the positive. It's usually something that has gone wrong or something that we see as negative that we're taking ownership of. Well, so for me, here's a story that I could have been making up, or one of the stories that I was actually making up when I was when I was on the dating scene and it wouldn't work out. I immediately went to, it must be my dark skin. He must didn't like my dark skin, as if that was the first time he saw my dark skin. We might have met, we might have talked, laughed, and joked, but immediately, if I got ghosted or if he didn't want to take it to the next level, it was always about my skin. It was never about my behavior. It was never about my insecurities. It was never about him not being ready. It was never about any of those things that I could have thought of, or that he was dating somebody else. He chose somebody. It was nothing about that. It automatically went to my skin. So it's always the negative, right? Those stories that we're making up and the scenarios that we're putting into our head are usually not true, and it's usually told from a negative perspective in your head. So when I was able to forgive those other people, I was able to think of other scenarios, more positive scenarios, such as, like I said, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for the type of relationship that I wanted, and so he saw that I wanted and was demanding more, and that's not where he was at. It's okay. Or like when we had a conversation and I said that I was looking for a relationship and he knew that he was looking for playtime, so those things don't match up. He actually helped me to win, because then I don't have to go through a lot of that other riffraff, right? So I started to rewrite stories. Now, are any of these stories true? Who knows? But why would I think that I'm going to win and go to the next level if I keep telling myself all of this negative stuff? I'm not. I'm not. Lesson number 7 that I learned by forgiving those who have hurt me is that it really matured me as a person, because then I started to see things differently. I started to really put myself in the other person's shoes and think from a different perspective about the situation, about why we didn't move to the next level, about just him as a person, being able to be more sympathetic and even empathetic to his situation, why he didn't call back, why he ghosted me, right? Why he didn't want to go to the next level. Just whatever the thing was, it really matured me emotionally to not take everything personally, to not feel like I need to cry about everything, specifically when the relationship broke up or we didn't even make it to relationship status. The dating actually broke off and I never heard from him. Whatever the thing was, I had to just be like, it's okay. Marshawn, do you love you? Okay, you do love you, right? Okay, perfect. So if you love you, then it's okay for him to walk away, right? You're not going to cause yourself bodily harm, right? You're not going to sit in the corner somewhere. Life is not going to stop because he didn't choose. Like, it was just really some deep down conversations that I had to have with myself, which made me mature, which made me to see things like, okay, I actually did witness a couple of red flags. So I think I dodged a bullet here. This is actually good that we didn't move to the next level. Or he might have verbalized that he didn't want X, Y, and Z with me for whatever and gave me some reasons. And I could have or should have looked at that in a more mature way versus kind of whining about it. Like, who wants to be in a relationship with a whiner? Okay, so all of these things had to mature me. Became a different person by looking at things differently, shifting my perspective, putting myself in his shoes, and coming up with better stories that actually help to elevate me instead of bring me down and decrease who I actually am. The eighth thing that I learned by forgiving those who have hurt me is that it helped me to feel at ease and lighter. See, a lot of times when we're frustrated and we have pent up anxiety and even dealing with some depression because life is not going the way that we deem that it should be going, then we're not at ease. We're not feeling light. And so once I started to forgive these people and release all of this junk and helping my body to release the score that is actually keeping, yeah, life just felt easier. I was always a happy, jovial person anyway, but it's like even more, right? Very passionate person, even more passion. Super, super laughter, even more laughter. right? So everything was heightened once I released and forgave those people. Much easier life. A lot less things bother me. The ninth lesson that I learned by forgiving the people who have hurt me is that forgiveness helped me to stop being a victim. I took ownership of what was actually happening or has happened to me, and I released the other person. It was my fault. I could have did whatever the thing is, which 9 and 10 actually go hand in hand, because 10 is literally I took back my ownership of my heart and of my mind, because I was giving my power away to the other person. They didn't even know that they had it because they had moved on with their life. They moved on with their life. Okay, so I was teaching you about your dark skin or the relationship to go to the next level. They not thinking about me no more because that thing didn't happen to them. They were the person that was doing the thing. And when the thing doesn't happen to you, you have a tendency to forget that you even partook in that thing. Right? I remember watching I don't know if it was a meme, but it was a short video. And this guy was on there and he was basically going in front of a panel. And I think it was a judge, but I'm not sure. But he was going in front of a panel and he was saying, he was talking about how his life sucked in high school. And he was going down a rabbit hole of like my life sucked. And I remember when I was in like sixth, seventh grade, whatever. And this boys came into the bathroom and they ended up sticking my head in the toilet. And what the panel didn't know is that the man that was telling the story was actually talking about one of the panelists, but he had no idea until he called his name. He said, "And you, Joe Blow," whatever the guy's name was, because I can't remember, "Joe Blow, you were the one who put my head in the toilet." Immediately, everybody looked at Joe Blow, and Joe Blow resigned. He resigned right there on the spot. So I'm saying all of that to tie all of this together. He actually did forgive Joe Blow, but he did not condone Joe Blow's behavior, even though it happened decades earlier. And at that point, whether Joe Blow was taking full ownership and responsibility for sticking the man's head in the toilet, he resigned. It could have been from embarrassment. That doesn't mean that he actually was saying, "I'm sorry," right? None of that took place because the video doesn't show all of that. But the point is, the man was able to speak up. He forgave Joe Blow for the actions, but he didn't condone the behavior by allowing it to pass, because now he had the opportunity and the voice to speak up for himself, to own the fact by telling his story that he was a little kid that got bullied and blah, blah, blah. And he went down, like I said, he was able to own and tell his story. And I'm sure he helped other people that were bullied back in the day or even present day. And then to be able to just call him out, and the man on the panel to take full ownership. It really is a big deal, is my whole point. It's a big deal in order for us to take our things that we learned here in life, and people are going to hurt you. That is a part of life. Your life is not meant to be hurt free, but it is to mold you, to help take shape in your life. And it's up to you to choose which way you are going to handle the situation, whether you're always going to be this reactive, crazy person, or whether you're going to sit back, think about it, mature, and then respond, because it's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is compulsive right away. You're doing it, got to get them back right there. Responding is the mature way where you taking a deep breath or 5, had time to be quiet so you can gather your thoughts, and then say what you need to say in love and respect. And that could be literally in a split second. It doesn't have to be hours and hours upon. It could literally be just all of that happened in about 2 minutes. You took the deep breath, you thought about it, you even analyzed what was actually happening in that moment, which is, okay, he's feeling some type of way. Address what he's feeling, but still speak to him in love and respect. When you start to mature, when you take full ownership for your life, and not keep blaming all these people, people will see you differently. Now, I'm going to tell you one last thing and then I'm going to go. So, I know that I walk with a lot more confidence than I did when I was 17, 18, 20. I know that I do. But it's different when other people say it to you. So I was in the store the other day. Didn't know anybody in the store because I was in the grocery store and I'm trying to get my groceries, right? So I'm in there and I'm doing a little bit of shopping and I'm walking around, kind of looking up the aisles and everything. And out of the blue, this man stopped me and he says, "You are very confident. You actually exude confidence and you're not saying anything. Like you have this way about you that just demands respect." And I was kind of standing there stunned because I didn't say hi to this man. This is how he started the conversation. I didn't even know that, honestly, I didn't even see him because I was engrossed in my grocery shopping. I was trying to get what I need to get so I can get out the store. And he stopped me. So when you know your worth, when you take full ownership and literally forgive and release all of this junk and start to work on your inner world, it exudes into your outer world. And people around you cannot help but to hear you. They cannot help but to see you. They cannot help but to lean in when you are speaking because they want to hear what you have to say. Because so many people have not matured to that level and they want a piece of you. They want a piece of that energy. They want to be around you so they can gather what they can get from you by just being in your presence. My loves, thank you so much for being here. It is 30 minutes have already passed just that, like that. It's gone. And so these are the 10 lessons that I personally learned by forgiving those people that have hurt me. I didn't say it was easy. I didn't even give a time frame because a lot of these things did take time. It did not happen overnight and it will not happen overnight for you. But as you continue to do your inner work, and start to heal the inner child within you, that maturity will increase. Your perspective will change. Your mindset about yourself will change. You will understand how much you are bringing to the table, and you will exude that when you walk into the room, whether you speak about it or not. Others around you will see it. I am Marshawn Olanio. I am a shift relationship strategist. You are listening to Love Restore on KCC or the Brownstone. I am super ecstatic that you decided to stick around with me for these past 30 minutes because I know that you could have chosen to be anywhere. But thank you so much for coming to get the lessons that I have learned. And if this is something that you have never dealt with, then absolutely bravo, right? Bravo. However, if this is something that you have dealt with, know that you are not alone. Know that you'll never be alone. And there are people out there that can help you to get unstuck. I am one of those people. If you are looking for someone to work with, then absolutely go to my website where you can hit me up and get all of my information, all of the things that you need to know about me on my website, which is www.marshawn.com. That's www.marshawn.com.